I'm a police detective, and I'm dealing with the weirdest case yet. Being a police detective isn't usually too chaotic, just dealing with legal nonsense, searching houses, and getting roughed up by drug dealers. Occasionally, I'll run into a drug cartel and have to fight for my life, but that usually ends as soon as reinforcements show up. But all that changed when I was in California, investigating a case in which a gas station owner alleged that he was harassed and nearly attacked by a strange man wearing a blank mask who demanded money from him, not wanting trouble. The cashier gave him all he had in the register, but hid a bit of it to ensure the shop wasn't completely bereft of money. The robber didn't leave after seemingly emptying the store's earnings. Instead, he paced around muttering to himself, finally leaving just moments before the sound of police sirens filled the air. Kind of lead did we have? Barely any, but the man did come and go by car, so we followed that trail to its end. And I followed that lead as best I could. I tracked his movements through the traffic cameras around town, and he parked near a park entrance before vanishing, likely to change out of his work clothes. I found the car where he left it and took it to the station with me. Forensics, and I did a full fucking peel of that car, and not a single fingerprint anywhere. That car was, as the dealership explained to me, stolen, and the only fingerprints we could find were confirmed to belong to the young female owner, who was pulled out of it and knocked unconscious by an unknown assailant. That sucks, but I'm a detective. I don't give up. So, I cast my detective's magnifying glass over California, and I scrutinized for anything else to come up regarding the case. Eventually, something happened, but it wasn't a witness, a tip, or anything remotely related to my career as a police detective. No, it was a personal experience. At some point around 11 p.m. a few days ago, I was on a late-night walk when I witnessed something strange, a blur of a man entering an alleyway, and following him was a lean woman wearing a white, featureless mask. Suddenly, the details of that case that had occurred weeks ago came racing back into my mind. I turned off my songs and quickly gave quiet pursuit. But the alley was dark, and I could barely even see my hands in this rural place, so I turned on my flashlight and I screamed. Well, I've seen a lot of shit as a police detective, so it wasn't the kind of shrill scream you would get from a woman or horror movie survivor, but it was more like a very loud, deep gasp. I saw a writhing, shuddering man on the verge of death, being held down by two muscular men, one I recognized as that man in the gas station, but the other seemed slightly different. And joined them, one was a younger woman I almost overlooked, another appeared older, and the leader of the group had curly hair. She carried a bloodied cleaver at her side, wore delicate white gloves, and was methodically removing the dying man's insides one by one. All of them wore identical, expressionless masks. He clutched the putrid viscera in her grip. I heard something. Post of this paralyzing encounter, none of them had made a sound, save for the hoarse but hushed breathing from the two men restraining the victim. But now that the man's life had left him completely, the leader gently put her gut-filled hands in the position of prayer and began to whisper something. They didn't need to prevent his escape. The two men put down their victim and turned to me. Act with those psychopaths was the push my body finally needed, and I reached for my gun. The bigger of the two picked up a chunk of the road and chucked it at me, and I narrowly dodged being knocked unconscious in front of these fiends. When they saw their ploy didn't work, they rushed me. It was a short alleyway, and with only a few seconds left to react, I frantically tried to reload my gun, which I somehow left magazine-less. But I had almost no time to watch myself, and I ended up spilling brass all over the floor, so in an instant's thinking, I managed to load 2 bullets into my mag and loaded. Bang, bang. Blindly, but accuracy be damned, they were almost upon me. Both shots hit. One of them was shot in the intestines, maybe even his lung, and he fell forward, wobbling on his knees like a scarecrow in a thunderstorm. The other was hit in the knee and fell to the ground, before grabbing me by the ankle and trying to stop me from getting away. Kicking his mask seemed to disorientate him, allowing me to get free and start running, but not before taking a single picture of the entire group and their latest victim. Net around and ran as fast as I could, but this was a rural town, and few places were open to visitors at this time. But I saw my salvation, a nearby porta-potty that was built much more sturdy than your typical dumper, so I ran directly toward it and locked myself inside. Then did I call dispatch to request an ambulance and police, though it was likely too late for the man in question. We have to do that for legal reasons. At first, I thought that they had chosen not to pursue me for whatever reason. That was until I heard a slam as the plastic of the porta potty was rammed against by a familiar shoulder. I had no idea what was wrong with these people. They were pounding on the plastic with a wild intensity that reminded me of a clumsy, yet rabid and dangerous animal. Through the semi-transparent walls of the outhouse I was hiding in, I could see everything, the countless hands of my attackers, their shadows engulfing my small refuge, and every desperate attempt they made to break in. But the scariest part wasn't even this mob's animalistic grunting and hissing. It was what their leader said to me from inside that thin wall of safety. Hee hee hee. Look what you've gotten yourself into. Everything came to a halt as soon as the police showed up. A fucking maniac screaming about homeless psychos trying to kill me, locked inside of a porta potty alone. They did not find any body, no fingerprints, no camera footage. The only sign this ever happened to me was that picture and the damage dealt to that John. But you and I both know that chemical toilets being run down is a given, not a possibility. I'm feeling desperate, resorting to this place and asking strangers online for help. But could you give me a hint here? What were those people? It's probably gang/cult activity of some kind, but I'm completely stumped as to what I'm supposed to do here. I have an unusual lead to share. Church somewhere in California was burned to the ground by an unknown arsonist. Casualties were few, but in the basement, 2 pastors were slain brutally, and on the wall was a message, carved roughly by blade into the brick wall. We are chosen.